By the end of this video, you're going to learn how to create a 2-minute follow-up system that turns your leads into appointments automatically. No more missed calls, no more missed messages, and definitely not chasing down qualified leads who could be potential clients. Now, I learned about this after dropping the first episode of my brand new podcast, Built Different. I was in conversation with my boy Gabe. He's one of the top realtors in Baltimore. He's named Top 500 Realtors 2 years in a row. And he told me one of the biggest challenges that he has, his team has, and other realtors have is not finding leads. It's communicating with them at the right time and getting them matched with the right property. Too many leads and prospects are falling through the cracks because follow-up takes too long. People don't get back. But if you're a realtor, that's costing you thousands and thousands of dollars every month. Now, I'm not in the real estate space, so I started to look up to see how much money this is actually costing, and the numbers get real ugly. I'm talking about close to $250,000 for most realtor teams. But in this video, I'm going to save you from that. Hey, if you're new here, I'm Quintel, founder of Green Book Digital, where I consult with service-based businesses to build AI-powered systems that save them time, cut costs, so you can close more deals and start to grow their business. Prior to this, I ran a Good Partner Company, a plant-based health cafe and juice bar that went on to partner with Johns Hopkins and generated over $700,000 in sales using the same kind of systems that I'm about to show you. So whether you're a realtor or a loan officer, any kind of service professional who has to live off of client communications, this is really going to be helpful for you. Now, going back to those ugly numbers I talked about, the data shows that the average response time for a realtor is between 4 to 6 hours. And that's way too much time to give a prospect to go find more listings or get in touch with another agent who's going to answer their questions. And what most realtors underestimate is how impatient people are, right? 78% of buyers end up working with the first agent, not the best agent, the person who got on the best suit, the best website. They don't care about that. They just want their questions answered fast, okay? So if you do the math, every hour you wait is potential ground that you're losing on selling a home or helping somebody buy your home, right? And so if we take that out a step further and really crunch the numbers, I went and I really looked this up just, for Baltimore. So you can extract this out to real estate in your industry. But on average, the industry average on conversion and selling is 1%. That can be increased to about 5% if you just had a tighter follow-up window, if you had a better system, right? So in Baltimore, the average commission, like the total commission, is about $22,000. So if you extract that out across a whole year, that's over $250,000 a year for that real estate team or for that professional. And then when you go and you bust down all of the splits, we're looking at about $6,000 per deal. So if you increase to about 5% from 1%, that's 5 more deals times, let's say on the low end, 5,000. That's $25,000 that you could possibly be bringing in. So when you think about it in terms of the opportunity cost, that's hundreds of thousands of dollars that's leaking out of your business, right? Your real estate team or just your realty, your brokerage, however you have it classified and set up, you're losing out on that opportunity, not because you can't sell, but because you didn't respond fast enough. Okay, and that's why we go and set up these systems. But before we crack open any kind of AI tool or chat GPT, I always start with the same process. This is the process that I use to fix a lot of the broken systems in my juice bar or in my other businesses. And it's the same system that I use for my consulting clients. Hey, quick break in the video. If you're a realtor in Baltimore or anywhere and you want a system set up like the one I'm doing in this video, click the first link in the description and I got you. And if you're an entrepreneur who's struggling with where and how to use AI in your business, click the second link in the description, schedule a quick AI roadmapping session with me. That way you and I can hop on a call and assess everything in your business step by step. And then I'm going to build out a custom plan for you to achieve whatever your goals are in business in less time using the right AI tools. So you can save yourself hours of time digging through YouTube videos like this one by booking a call with me, and I'm going to fast forward you through all of those headaches, right? That's the second link in the description. Now let's get into this follow-up lead system. So what you see here is my 4O Flywheel. This is my go-to framework for understanding and designing any kind of workflow or automation for myself or for any of my clients that I work with. The first thing you want to do is determine what outcome you want. What's the most important thing that you need to get done right now? A lot of people are going to call it a bottleneck. What bottlenecks do I need to fix, right? But everybody doesn't think in terms of bottlenecks. They kind of keep it simple. This is the problem that I'm having, and this is the outcome that I want. Okay, so you start with the outcome. What result do you want? In this case, you want qualified leads booked into your calendar within minutes, not even hours. That way you can find out if you can help them get to that property, if you need to help them get pre-qualified, whatever the case may be, you need to get them booked. Okay, what's stopping you from making that happen? That's the second O in this flywheel. That's the obstacle. What's preventing you from making this happen? In this case, It's the manual process that depends on a human to be available anytime somebody lands on their website or lands on their listing and fills out the form. People need to have correspondence in order for them to make business deals happen or make real estate deals happen. So that's what you need to think about in the second step. What's the problem? What's the obstacle stopping you? So the third O in this flywheel is outline. You have to outline your current process. What steps are you taking to actually get this result that you want? In this case, we need to figure out and outline the steps of getting a lead and getting them booked, right? So a lead comes in, someone eventually sees it. Either you check your email and you see it, or it goes to your CRM and somebody on the real estate team checks it out, and then they go and they do a manual response, see if they can try to book a time and get them on the schedule. All of that is a part of the problem, but we need to lay it out so we can see everything that's happening. And then the fourth O in this framework, that's when you start to think about what your AI solutions are going to be. So what options do you have? Right. In this case, you can automate the system using AI. You can use any kind of automation tool that's going to quickly qualify the lead, whether they're buying or selling, and then instantly book them on the calendar, or take whatever steps that you take in your process as a real estate professional. And this is how I approach every workflow before I touch any kind of digital or AI tool, right? Because once you understand this process, the actual automation becomes a lot simpler. You get to block out the noise, right? And then you can lock in on the things that's going to help you get the results that you actually want. So now we went through the 4O flywheel. We outlined all the steps. We need to explore the options, right? And now you're thinking, well, how do I actually use AI for my follow-up system? I'm busy trying to do these showings, right? I'm trying to get this thing processed. I'm trying to get this deal closed. I never really had time to study all of these tools, and I get it. That's why I'm doing this video. So I got you. I'm about to lay it out real quick and real simple. These are the tools that you're going to need for your 2-minute follow-up system. Okay, you're going to need Typeform or any kind of intake form. So you can have Typeform, you can use Google Forms or whatever form you already have on your listing website. You can use a form there. You're going to need ChatGPT or any AI large language model of your choice. Gmail account, most of us are operating with Gmail. If you're using something else, we can connect you to that, no problem, but you need an email sender. And then you're going to need Google Sheets, or you can use any kind of CRM or database, but Google Sheets is free. And that's what we're going to use for this setup. So think of it in terms of a form, AI model, email client, database. Those are the 4 main tools. And the final tool that's going to bring all of these together is Zapier. Now you can set this up and you can actually use this Zap for free, right? If you don't have a massive amount of leads coming in, you can actually use the free tier for Zapier and have this set up and be high level, professional, fast response, and it doesn't cost you anything extra. You can use the free version of all of these and get this done. So now I'm gonna go hop over to Zapier and show you how we build this out one step at a time. But before we get to that, I'm going to show you something that's going to be really helpful for you before you start to dive into any of these tools. So what you see here is my workflow checklist. This applies to my workflows, but this applies to any business owner and any operator. If you're an owner and you have other people on your team, they need checklists so they can execute. If you have to actually manually do any of these tasks, or if you're in the trenches kind of and you're still doing some operation, it's really great to have checklists. One thing I found that a lot of people suffer from, including myself, was just going off the dome. You're so used to just doing something that you can freestyle your way through it, or it's second nature for you to handle something in your business. But if you're trying to grow your business and you're in that growth phase, which if you're watching this video, you probably are, right? Once you get over about 200K, you're kind of in growth phase and you're phasing yourself out of certain steps into other more high leverage things. You need to set up these checklists so that either AI can do it for you in this case, or you can delegate it to an employee or contractor or whoever you may hire to get things done. So I set up a workflow checklist. So I check this against everything I'm doing in my workflow. So now, instead of just going straight to Zapier, I know that we need to set up a Typeform first, because that's where everything's going to start. For this example, we're going to start with the Typeform, and I'm going to show you how that looks. So here we are in my free Typeform account. We're going to create a new form, and Typeform has updated to Typeform AI. So I'm going to name the Typeform first, and we're going to call this the 2-minute follow-up. Boom. Now we got this chat interface. So I'm going to use dictation tool because this allows me to move faster when I'm using AI. So I want to build a Typeform to capture real estate leads using the following questions below. So I already have these questions because I know this is the most essential things we need: the name, phone number, email, the property type, so if they're buying or selling, and then their timeline, I'm going to take out ASAP and just make it 1 to 3 months. And then pre-approved for mortgage. So yes, no, they need assistance. I think I might update that to pre-approved so people can just respond easily. Need assistance. That's it. They either are or they need assistance. By assistance, that means they need to find somebody who can get them pre-approved, or they need to know the steps to go about getting pre-approved. Whatever it is, we're going to send them in the right direction. But this is a quick setup. Boom. So we're going to go ahead and let that run its course. And Typeform is going to build this. So a lot of AI tools now, they can automatically build things. They can build the right nodes and actions. So this applies to platforms like Zapier as well. You're going to see that later in the video. So Typeform is finished here, and it's set up everything. So we're going to go ahead and apply these changes to the form. So as we can see, here are the questions. We can click through each one if we want to make any changes. We can say, what is your... Matter of fact, I think I'm going to change this to first name, last name, because it's better to break it out when you're doing the automation. And that way we can pull all of the correct info. And it just gets neater in the database. So first name, last name. All right, what's the best number to reach you? Drop the number there. What's your email? Are you interested in buying or selling a property? I like how they phrase that. Buying, selling. And then what is your timeline? What is your timeline to make a move? Cool. So now we're going to go up here to share, and it's going to publish this. Okay, we need it to be published in order for it to be pulled into your automation. So we got a link there, and then we're going to run this so it can just be live and we have data to pull from. So here we go. Our 2-minute response. So put in my name and my number. Let's see, we got I'm gonna put my business email. I am buying and I'm ready to move soon, and we're gonna be pre-approved, submit. All right, we go back, double check. Now that this form is complete, we should be able to see results, and there it is. We have one result. That result is the info I just put in. Same email, name, phone number, all that good stuff. All right, now we have our type form complete. I'm gonna check this off the list. Okay, now we have our type form complete, so we are going to check this off the list. Now we need to go and set up Zapier with Copilot. Great. Now here we are in Zapier. We're going to create a new Zap. Now the great thing about Zapier now is that Zapier now has Copilot. And with Copilot, you can do the same thing. It's just another chat window, and you can just tell it exactly what you want, and it's going to go and set up the actions for you. So by setting up the actions where you see trigger and action, it's going to pull in the right tools and the right steps. And then our job is going to be to configure each of these actions so that it does the right things based on the inputs we give it. Okay, so again, I'm going to hop in here and say, I need to set up a workflow that pulls in lead information for my real estate agency. We use Typeform to bring in the information. We're going to use AI to qualify the lead. We're going to use Gmail to send out a response to them. And then we're going to also add all the leads information to a Google Sheet for our database. Boom. So that's what we want this to be. That's how we want this to be done. If you are new to using dictation tools, you can just write these notes down and just type it in. But when you know what you want and you are a pro, which I imagine you are, you're watching this and you're some kind of service professional, you kind of know the things you need. And even if you don't know the name of the tool, you just tell it what it wants, and Copilot is AI enabled. So it's going to figure out what's the best tool to use. And then you're either probably already using that tool, or you can use something similar. So you can go in and you can update and change the tool. Each one of these plus signs allows you to add a step. Okay, so Copilot, you see here, it's doing all the configuration. It's going to figure all these things out, and it's telling us exactly what we need. So these are the 4 steps that Copilot recommends. This is exactly what I want. It's going to ask me, do I want them to build it? Yes. I like all of these steps. Boom. All right. So Copilot kicked things off. It set up the first 3 actions, but AI is not perfect. That is something that I talk to my clients about all the time. You can't one-shot everything. Sometimes you have to go in and adjust. Now we can just hit a plus sign and add the Google Sheet. Let's see if we can get it to do that. Hey, it looks like you forgot to add the Google Sheet step. Can you add that into this workflow, please? Of course. All right. So we're going to click it. Let it build. There we go. And voila, Copilot went and took care of that for us. So I'm going to move this out the way just because I like to have more screen to look at. I like the white space. It's very soothing. Okay, so now we're going to set up our type form. That's the first step. And again, this could be any form builder that you use. So we have to configure this. So when you go into form, you have to sign in to your Typeform. So I'm already signed in. All you have to do is go in, sign into your Typeform account, and it's going to give you that automatic pop-up where you can sign in through Google or directly in the Typeform. Now we already have, these are the forms I have. We're going to select 2-minute follow-up. That's the form that I'm using. That's very important to label everything. 2-minute follow-up. Okay, good. So now we are going to go in, it's going to configure and test. You're going to get a checkbox here, and then it's going to show you the entry. Entry A are the records or the variables. So these are the inputs that came from that type form. All of the form responses here. And then each one broken out as a different variable. First name, last name, and then all of the questions that we ask. This looks good. We're going to rock with this for right now. Okay, we're going to continue with record A. And now we're going to go into the AI by Zapier. This part is really important. This is the part where we create a virtual AI assistant. We're going to create a real estate assistant. So you go in, we're going to use AI by Zapier. This is a premium feature. Allows you, if you pay for a plan, it allows you to use their AI, which is basically not going to charge you an extra zap. So we can go in, we are going to configure. So configure it means you're setting it up to execute the action the way that you want. This is where understanding how to prompt for any kind of AI tool is really important. As a business owner, you want to be able to articulate your value, your unique value proposition. You want to be able to articulate yourself to sell. You want to be able to articulate yourself to give instructions. Because check this out. I've realized this in my juice bar. Going through the higher steps and the phases, you would think that blending a smoothie is super easy or chopping an apple is really easy. But you have to be able to give the instruction and also demonstrate. And if you can't give instructions clear enough for a person, a human to understand, you're definitely going to confuse an AI if you can't give the right steps. So I give you all that to say, you're going to want to understand how to prompt. You're going to want to have good prompting structure. And if you actually want access to good prompting structure, if you click the third link in the description, you can get access to multiple different types of prompt structures all for free. Just click the link in the description. So I'm going to use one of those structures here. And a lot of times, if you are unclear on whether or not you have a good prompt or you just want to improve your prompt, you can just give your prompt back to ChatGPT and it'll improve it. And that's what I did for creating this. So I'm going to show you exactly how it looks. So here, what's highlighted in blue, this is the actual prompt. Like I wrote this down in my notes so you know we live and direct. So I wrote this down in my notes. This was the kind of prompt that I wanted to give it. But I wasn't sure if it was going to fully understand everything. What the most important thing about this prompt is, it gave it a role. You are a real estate assistant. What you're going to do is, based on the lead's response, you're going to return a 1 to 2 sentence response on how to reply and what they're responding on. Energetically, thank them first, then give them directions. And a part of this workflow is prompting an AI step so that it can send the right response based on the correct variables. Okay, and so it gave me this here. And the reason why I wanted to do this, so that it could break out these steps. And because I'm doing this in a short amount of time, I did this, but breaking out these steps with the system role, the instructions, the categories, and then down here, any kind of additional notes. All of these things are really important to get the best prompt so you have the best output. So now we have a better structured prompt for our AI step. And the good thing about a lot of these smarter AI models for Claude and ChatGPT 5 is that it's a bit more intuitive, so it understands the next best steps. And so it asks if I would like it to format this prompt specifically for the Zapier by the AI by Zapier step, which is exactly what we're working in. What I'm going to do is copy this entire prompt and we are going to put it over into our step. Boom. So we copied and pasted the structured prompt. Now here in the prompt, you see these spaces for variables. These variables, or input fields rather, will come directly from the type form. So it's pulling the information directly from type form. Whatever the answer was is going to show up here in these yellow blocks. Okay, but we first have to tell it what these input fields should be. So we have to connect an input field. So we want to have the input for a lead first name and for approval status. So the label is going to be lead first name. So how does it know what the lead's first name is? We get it from the type form. So we go here to the value of this input field, and we're going to look for the type form that we're pulling from, and then we're going to look for first name. Boom. And now it's also important that they have the approval status, because they're going to put that into their email. So we're going to put in approval underscore status. So now we're going to look for the question that asks about approval. Are you approved? Yes. Approved. Cool. I'm updating the prompt for need approval or needs assistance, because our actual response is I need assistance or need assistance. So we want to cover that just to be clear. So we have everything set up here. Boom, boom. And the output should be a 1 to 2 sentence output. Now we have to classify or name this output. And so we're going to name this output the lead response. So AI is going to go and write us a response email. Okay, and so we have to name or classify this response email the same way we label and classify these input fields. We're going to classify it as an output field, and we're going to call it the lead follow up message, because that is what's going to be sent to Gmail, to or whatever email client you're using. The field type is going to be text, because it's going to create text. We don't need anything for field description. So we're going to save that. Now we have it all set up from top to bottom, our AI configuration. Click continue. It's going to run a test. And so we should see a message. Boom. So this is what a lead follow-up message would look like. Thanks so much for reaching out. And it puts in their first name. It's great to hear that you're pre-approved, because that is what we put in the configuration. Let's take the next step, book your consultation, and we gave them a link to our Calendly. So I just dropped the Calendly link so you can see how that's going to look, okay? Now we want to go on to the next step, which is Gmail. So you're going to attach your Gmail account or whatever email client you're using in this step. I say go with Gmail. That's what I use. It's really simple to update. So this is my Gmail account all set up. The action that we want it to take is to send an email on our behalf. Boom. So now we're going to go and configure. So you have to set this up as if you are sending this email. So who does this go to? The person who filled out the form. So we need to find their email, because that's who we're sending this to. So we go in, and Typeform has already collected their email, and you have to go through and look through each one of these input fields. Sometimes it could be at the very bottom. See, what is your email address? So it's also important to understand how to label your questions or your inputs. So this is their email address. We don't need to send this to any contacts. We keep that false. We're not CCing or BCing anybody. This is coming from me. So you can choose a value. It's already connected. These are all of the different emails I have in my account. So in my professional business account. So it's coming from me. I'm going to put my from name, because you can either type that in or you could use one of the mapping input fields. Subject line, we're going to put let's get you in a new home. Right? Whatever your subject line is, however you think you would greet them. So here is where you can get fancy with the email. Right now, we're just going to do plain text. HTML would be code that you use to design an email. So you have certain type of formatting. But for this, we're going to keep it plain. And now body. So what are we going to put in the body here? We are going to put the message that AI just created for us. And that is going to be mapped from the AI's output field. Remember that lead follow-up message? That's what we're going to put here. So we're going to go through, and you see the first step was the type form. Second step is the AI step. So we go in, and boom, we have lead follow-up message. That's going to be what they see there. And if you have a signature, you can add that. You can also attach things if you needed to, but we don't have all of that. So we're going to just go and say that that's all good, and we're going to test this step. So when we test this step, I should get an email from me with the email output that was sent. So as you can see here, email from me to me, and here's how it reads. Thank you so much for reaching out, Quintel, my name. That's great to hear you're approved, XYZ. And then it actually has a live link to my Calendly, because we insert that into the AI instructions. So we know that the email section has tested correctly. Let's go back to the last step, which is going to be our Google spreadsheet. Okay, so we are going to use the Google step Everything is set up. You sign into your Google account, whatever your Google account is. This is my professional account here. And then we are going to configure this, connect into my Google Drive, and then you want to connect to the right spreadsheet. So I already set up a spreadsheet called Real Estate Leads Intake. This is what that spreadsheet looks like. I basically mapped all of the same inputs that were shown in the Typeform step. If we go to Typeform, we click the action. I just want to show you exactly what this looks like. If you go to the test step, where it's pulling in records from, these are what I use for the columns because it's already pulling this information. So I'm just going to take this information and put it in the database. Now you don't have to use all of these things like form ID, submit date. You may not need that in your database. Most likely you won't. So you can update that as you see fit. So what I kept here was the timestamp, so we'll know what time of day. Why? Because we want to respond properly. We want to know fast. How fast did we get back to the people? So we have timestamp, first name, last name, email, phone, the transaction type, buying or selling, timeline, pre-approval status, and then it's actually going to have their follow-up message in case I need to see the message and maybe push this onto a new step. All right, so let's get back to filling out the Google form. So we're back into Zapier. We are into the Google form step. We are mapping the inputs to the real estate intake spreadsheet. You're going to choose the worksheet within the spreadsheet, which is just, I only have one worksheet here. Cool. Now, what do we want to map? Here are all of the variables. It's telling you, it's pulled in all of the variables that it showed, and now this is where you go in and bring in the variables from the Typeform the same way I demonstrated before. You're going to / for the fields that are mapped. You're going to go find first name for the first name step. Okay, so here are all of the input fields that I mapped to the Google Sheet. The first name, the last name, the email, phone number, transaction type, timeline, pre-approval. These are all of the things that are going to land on the Google Sheet. I'm also going to put in the timeline, the timestamp. So that's the time that it completed the form. All right. So we have all of these things set up. We're going to continue, and then we are going to test the step. So when we test this step, you should see a new row, because that's what we're doing, sending a new row to a Google Sheet. You should see a new row with this first, last name, this email, and this message, and the timestamp should say at 1900. Okay, so we got the check. The test went through correctly. It pulled in all of these variables, these inputs. If we go check, we have a new one, timestamp 1900, first name, last name, email. Everything is all good. This step works correctly. We go in and we publish the Zap. Now the Zap is going to publish right now. We got to give it a name. The name is going to be, we're going to call it the 2-minute real estate lead system. Boom. So now we have it all set up. It is published. It is active. It's ready to be used. So how do we know that this works? We got to go demo. So we're going to go to the original form, the 2-minute follow-up form. And we need to go to the actual live form to do this. So we're going to copy a link and we're going to post this. Boom. So I'm going to give it a different name. Let's say David Harkham. He's my big brother. Not in real life. I'm just making up a name. Best phone number, 443-99226. It doesn't matter what the number is. And the email, we are going to put one of my business alias. We are selling, and we want to sell within the next 6 months. And we are pre-approved, so they know that we bought that business. Okay, so now the Zap should be doing what it does behind the scenes. And if we go, boom, you saw that live. David Harkham hit the spreadsheet. That means all of the Zaps were completed. If we go into Typeform, we should have new results. I don't know why that does that. So new results, new email from David Harkham. Everything has went through. Now the last thing to do is to see if David Harkham actually got this email. So I go in and there's a Typeform notification, and voila, live in real time. You saw the email come through. Thank you so much for reaching out, David. That's great to hear you improve, so on and so forth. Here's a Calendly link. They get that Calendly link because they are already pre-approved, and the logic said to send them that. So everything is looking good under the hood and out in the real world. Now, earlier in the video, we talked about the math. We talk about the real impact. Remember, 78%, that's almost 80% of buyers are going to work with the first agent who responds. You build this system, and now you become the first responder. You just increase your chances to make a connection. You increase your chance of qualifying somebody who's going to be interested in purchasing or selling a listing with you. Now, just imagine you capture 3 additional deals a year. On average, if you're doing $5,000 to $6,000, that's between $15,000 and $18,000. That's not bad, but imagine you're doing that 3 extra deals a quarter. Now you're moving up in tax brackets, right? You're making more money, of course, but not only that, you're building your reputation as one of the best realtors or real estate agents or real estate teams in your region, in your city, because you're known for quick response time, getting back to people, personalized connection, communication, right? And being prompt. People really appreciate being prompt. So it's not only more value to your business, more dollars in the bank account, but it's reputation, right? And that's hard to build. So it's really important that you think about this as you build out and scale and grow your business. Now, I built this out for realtors or people in the real estate space, but this framework, this applies to any kind of service-based business. You could be doing HVAC, managing emergency services, same kind of system. You can be doing law and you're trying to bring in consultations for your firm. You can use the same kind of system. Any kind of home service business where you have to book in people for estimates, you can use the same system. Update your Typeform, put in more qualifying questions like things around square footage, time frames, and you already know how much that impacts the estimate. You can handle this. And so the businesses that are figuring this out, they are starting to really dominate their space, their market, their region, definitely their city. This is not just for some kind of franchise or a chain of service businesses, okay? Any service business can use this. And the best part is you're just paying $30 a month for this tool. At the max, maybe $100 if you're signing up for the premium versions, and $100 a month versus $2,000 a month for a VA or hiring manpower is a lot more affordable, and it's going to get you a lot more profit. And so that really gets me excited because I was using these kind of systems for back-end stuff I was doing in my juice bar, and then eventually for other things for other clients. But before you start getting into these tools, especially if you're new to the game, as far as using AI tools, remember that 4O framework that we talked about. Now, if you click the 3rd link in the description, you can get access to that. But you don't want to get into the tools until you determine what outcomes you actually want, what are the obstacles that get in the way, and then you outline the steps that you're supposed to take. Then you explore your options. And this is what it really means to build and grow your business going forward in the age of AI, right? You're not trying to work harder. You're working harder and smarter by building better systems. And now you can just work harder on the things that matter most, the things that only you can do in your business. Now, if you're in the real estate space, you can go follow the steps along in this video and build out one of these 2-minute systems. But if you don't have time and you need help building this, click the first link in the description, and I'd love to help you out with that. If you're an entrepreneur and you're still just trying to figure out how to implement AI or any kind of automation into your business, you can click the 2nd link in the description and set up a call with me for a custom AI roadmap, or you could just subscribe to the channel and I'll be dropping more tutorials like this on how to use AI and automation in your business. If you found the video valuable, click the like button, and if you got any questions or any suggestions or something that you want to know about how to implement AI into your business, drop it in the comments, let me know, and I'll catch you in the next one.